have a few people coming in. I'm going to just go ahead and my name is Tony Bramley. I am the Business Development Coordinator here at TMC. With me today is an illustrious cast from our wonderful partners Credit and Valuation Solutions. Thank you so very much, everyone, for being with us today. We are excited to talk about VO. The world wants to know about verification of employment.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a hot topic, and we look forward to finding out everything that is cutting edge in the industry today. So just a couple of housekeeping items. Thank you very much for joining us on TMC Connect. Everyone is entered on mute, and so, but we do want you to engage with us. So please use the chat, use the Q&A function. We will be, and I see my internet connection is unstable, but I'm on my phone. So if I freeze up, I hope it's not in a weird space. So please engage, and we will ask your questions as they come in. With us today is Tracy King, COO with Partners Credit. We also have Mark Yoder, who is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships.
There you go.
I've got lots of partners, and then some more partners.
Right.
And Bethany Futrell, who is the Customer Success Manager. So thank you all so much for joining us. Once again, this is TMC Connect, and you are listening to VOIE, not just another acronym. So with that, I am also want to let you know that as a follow-up, you will get an email tomorrow from TMC with a link to the video for this recording. And we just thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your time. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy.
Thank you, Tony. Right. Are very grateful to be here and have a platform to kind of share with TMC members and other people as well that are joining what's new and happening with VOEs, now VOIEs. There's, more and more acronyms. What would our industry be without them? So we just want to keep everyone informed. We understand one of the biggest frustrations that our customers have and that we hear in the industry is the VOE process. It's one in which you all are able to do in-house occasionally. If you're invested in day one certainty and trying to utilize that, there's been lots of ebb and flows with that over the last couple of years of what the options are. And what we've been trying to do at Partners is, and specifically Mark Yoder, is work with GSEs and also look at different third parties and systems to find out what could be the most beneficial to our customers and what options are out there. So what we hear a lot of is the frustration of, the timeliness of getting VOEs done, being able to handle that and getting them back in a manner in which you can depend on. And it sounds like, sometimes we're dependent on third parties to utilize. And, when it's instantaneous, that's great. But when it requires that extra step, you either feel like you're kind of locked into their system and have to go about it by using their manual methods. And we hear a lot of frustration that happens with that. Or you handle it internally. And when you guys are super busy and your processors are using their time to follow up on these, again, it's how well are you using your resources and your team. So Mark, we'll start the conversation of what's kind of new and happening with VOIE. So can you tell everybody listening kind of what's the difference between what we've done in the past and what's been offered for VOEs versus now this new VOIE?
It's like a cheer, VOIE.
I know.
Woo!
I'll start.
I think you hit it when you're talking options. That's kind of the big piece there, right? And there haven't been options in the past. So you've had third parties that have controlled databases, and that's great, and you can get some of those verifications instantaneously, and that's all fun. But sometimes you don't get the information that you need. Sometimes if you don't have a direct relationship with them, there can be problems, etc. So they have control over that data right there. Then the only other option has been processors, and processors manually calling out employers, faxing out, old school faxing, emailing and everything, trying to get a hold of these employers. And then you throw into things like a pandemic, you throw in things like a very busy market, and trying to get these verifications completed in a timely manner is a huge pain. So it's taking days, weeks, and constant follow-ups. So, you know, I think the market's been looking for some other options, and the great news is they're here. There's more coming, and we're excited about kind of this very first stage of what looks to be a lot more options in the marketplace. So when we talk about VOIE, if we compare VOIE to those first initial offerings that I mentioned, both of those are strictly dealing with employers and employer databases, which makes sense. You're verifying employment. But what the VOIE product does is it kind of circumvents the employers. So where somebody might have control of a certain database, somebody you're relying on trying to find the HR person or whatever, now you're saying, you know what, we don't need that. So what it does is we actually take the borrower's pay stub, which you're normally requesting anyway from your borrower. So they upload one pay stub, and then they provide access to their financial accounts. So they're providing permission. It's a consumer permission product. They provide access to their financial accounts just like they would in recent digital verification of assets offerings. So the same exact process. So they provide access to their Chase account, their Wells Fargo account, whatever it is, and then they're done. That's it. Upload a pay stub, give access to their accounts, and what that does is then it takes all the information from that pay stub, it scrapes that data, analyzes that data, and compares it to the data that's found in the financial accounts. So it's what's being looked at there is the direct deposits from the employer and saying, is this the same employer? Is it the same anticipated amounts? Do these match up correctly? And if all is matching up, it looks at cadence. How often are they being paid? Is it once a month? You know, every 15 days, every week, et cetera. And that's all going to be analyzed and processed and give you both confirmation that yes, this employer, this person is employed by this person, by this company. It's going to tell you basically the length of employment that you need to know because it goes up to 24 months. So it's going to look at 24 months of records and see, have they been getting direct deposits that whole time, or have they only been getting it the past 6 months? So then you know when that employment started. And it's going to give you your confirmation of the income as well. So it's going to give you, your gross and net pays and all of the breakdowns and all of the additional deposits that are there. So including any non-regular deposits. So it's great. And so when we say, that's all that needs to be done, the borrower goes in, they do those couple of things, and within minutes, a report is back.
So I'm going to stop you because I bet that as soon as you said that the borrower puts in their credentials, that a few people were like, okay, then I'm good. I'm not going to do it.
Scary.
One thing to really talk about with this process, we've heard this before, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about VOAs with, account check, form free, all of this, and said, my borrower is not going to provide their credentials. What we as an industry really need to look at is kind of what's happened in 2020 and how differently we had to go through that process and how willing borrowers are to understand and do things in a digital manner. And then also how they're taking cues from you, their LO or their company that they're utilizing, their lender, to let them know what's safe and secure and what is, kind of the course that they need to follow. They're putting their trust in you in all different kinds of ways. And so one of the biggest things here to recognize is the kind of information that you're getting from your borrower on a daily basis is, are they emailing you over their, tax information, their pay stubs, and that is not password protected. This is something that's, so secure for you guys to know, and we'll touch on this as well, is that this has been fully vetted by Fannie and Freddie and is approved by them. So in order to get through that process, it has to, be known that all of this is so secure. So to have that conversation with your borrowers and to recognize the benefits to that, and part of that benefits is the cost saving measures and also the time. So Mark, you were saying, you have to go through, typically we've had to go through third parties and utilize their databases. Typically speaking, and we'll just say, the work number is one of the biggest ones out there. And they kind of quote that they would be able to, within their database, return information on a borrower 30 to 40% of the time. So Mark, if you want to speak on what VOIE, what their rates are showing.
Yeah, I mean, the great news there is when we talk about VOIE, it's the perfect product for anybody who gets direct deposit, which is a vast majority of the population these days. So when you think about that, and it also goes up to 3 employers per verification. So you're getting all of that data. So the success rate that you're looking at is at least double. I mean, you're looking at probably around 70 to 75% success rate when a borrower goes through the process. So that, right. I mean, and that's huge. I mean,
yeah. And then, so, and speaking for day one and Freddie's AIM, mm-hmm. A lot of us were very excited, including us, yes. When we were able to have our manuals day one certainty approved last year. And obviously that came to a halt. So that took away a significant amount of VOEs, just as you're saying, if you're only getting 30 to 40% through the work number, you're losing out on all these that then would have to be manually addressed. So now if you're trying to utilize those programs, this is going to double what you're able to capture in terms of being free from reps and warrants.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was so disappointing when that got taken away, and you go, okay, well, there's got to be another option to expand the base of reps and warrant relief. And so this does that. And I want to highlight too, when you mentioned somebody like the work number, it's a great source for data. So, that's not going away. This is just an alternate right. source. And so, even, the way we've built our system is that things can cascade. And so you can do an instant check. And then if it's not there, it can move on to the VOIE. You can reverse that too, because the fun thing here is a VOIE can actually verify borrowers that can also be verified by the work number. And that was right. something that you could never get before.
Yeah. So what Mark's kind of talking about here is what we've created in through an LOS. If you're an Encompass user, we have it available there. And then also through our website is providing you with a cascade option. So you're not locked into handling your borrower one way or the other. So depending on the comfort zone of your borrower, a different LO that's utilizing this, you can go in and customize this each time. So if you have a more comfortable borrower that's digitally savvy, even though the process is really easy, you can go and say, all right, I want you to do a quick bounce against the work number. If it's not found in the work number, it'll cascade down really instantaneously into the VOIE and go to the borrower. Or again, when we're talking about being locked into third parties, you can do all of this, and then rather than be reliant on a third party to handle those manuals for you, it would cascade down and immediately go to one of our in-house processors to handle that for you.
You got it. Oh, you nailed it.
Nailed it.
And like going back to the start of the conversation, where more options are on the way. I mean, we're actively working on another product with Experian that's going to be another instant product, and so you can throw that anywhere in the cascade. And there again, that's going to be employer databases, payroll provider databases, and you throw that into the mix. And now you've been used to waiting days and weeks and months and
hopefully not months.
Well, sometimes they're like, I can't find these, but hopefully not. And now, you know, it's gonna, the cascade is meant to find the easiest method.
Right.
The path of least resistance. And so, you know, and you get to choose it and you figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
And you only get charged for the one thing.
Well, and then speaking of the charges, which was a nice, thanks for lobbing that over. One of the biggest things beyond just the efficacy of this and being able to broaden what you can get for your borrower for day one and all of this, we also know that the charges that we've seen in the last couple of years have really kind of skyrocketed in terms of third-party verifications, especially at the beginning of this year. So the cost factor, either what you're paying your in-house processors to kind of lock up what they're doing every day, or having to use a third party, this provides an option at half the cost, correct?
Yeah, it's approximately half of what a traditional third-party verification would be. It's only a little bit more than what, you know, a manual processing verification would be. So, I mean, it's a great option, you know, in terms of price with skyrocketing prices.
I have a question about the orders. So do you find that lenders, especially due to the pandemic, are ordering the verifications more often or more frequently? You know, what is the average that they would order this throughout that process?
Well, typically people are doing their VOEs twice, right? They're doing it initially to verify and get more specific. So that's when Mark was talking about the breakdown of, you know, their bonus, year to date, overtime, all of those things. And then the re-verify at the end as well. So that's about as often as we're seeing it. We're not seeing it more often than that, if I'm understanding the question correctly.
I think you got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I guess if we don't have any more questions just yet, and Tony, you can totally interrupt us if there are. We have Bethany Futrell, who's our customer success manager, and Bethany handles so many of our webinars and trainings. And for those who are or not partners, customer, we're always happy to do these as well, just to kind of give you insight into what's happening into the industry, what certain products look like. She does a great job talking about Credit Expert and score improvements, all of that. So Bethany's going to showcase right now, since we don't necessarily know every LOS that everyone's using, just kind of showing a quick overview of what this would look like visually in terms of what the cascade is for the VOIE process. So Tony, if you, or Bethany, if you take it away and showcase what you do.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to start showing my screen now. That should be coming through at this point. So I do want to show the VOIE ordered through our website. I do have also some screenshots of other ways of going about it. You can order it with partners in a couple of different ways, and we have actually merged it into our cascade for our various verification of employment suite. So I'm going to show that here. In our system, you just kind of fill out the information in the order form. Down here is the important stuff. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit, maybe you can see it better. So we have the options for VOE, VOI, your general basic verification of employment or verification of employment with income. We also have all of our other VOE suite of products available in this order form, whether you're ordering a work number instant verification, a VOIE, you just want that straight up VOIE, a manual verification where partners team will do the verification for you, or a cascade which combines those products. So I went ahead and filled this all in, and I can just click order this report down at the bottom. But to save us a little time, I took a screenshot of what that would look like. So here's that window. When you select the cascade with partners, you would be able to select which item you want to go first, second, and third. So if you have all three products set up, you can say, okay, I want the VOIE first. And then if the borrower opts out of that, or if it doesn't get completed, then go down to the work number. If the work number doesn't complete, then it can go to a partner's processor. So you're saving a little bit of time. You're not necessarily ordering the same verification multiple times because the first one didn't complete. I went ahead and ordered one before we got started, yet again, just to kind of save us a little time. I submitted a request for one of my favorite test cases, Mr. Barney Big Credit, and I got this email as the borrower. We sent out this email for the VOIE, letting the borrower know, hey, listen, you've got something that you've got to do. Up here at the top, I just put in the Mortgage Collaborative's logo with a black background, but with partners, that's all customizable in our system. And also this email is a very partners thing as well. So it tells the borrower right up front, this is what you're going to have to do. You need to upload a copy of your pay stub. You need to securely log into your financial institution, but it also tells them what we never do. We're not going to see your login information. We're never going to utilize this information ever to do anything other than process your loan. And we don't take any other actions on your account at all. We're just going to see the data, pull the data, but not do anything with it. And there's a little blue button where the borrower can click to sign in. Now, this is a two-factor authentication. The first section in our consumer portal is signing in with the last 4 digits of the social security number. And then it sends the borrower a second email, like I said, two-factor authentication, making sure that it is them actually signing in. That comes in really fast. And you can see it's that same sort of setup where it's coming from partners, but it looks like it's coming from your company. And that's that little code, 399123. And now I'm in the consumer portal.
So Bethany, you said that, so this will be white labeled, so it looks like it's coming from the lender. So will there be a confusion as to, did my lender send this? Did partners send this? Or is it always going to look like it came from the lender?
So that's actually a good question. We typically recommend that whoever's working with the borrower tell them up front, you're going to receive something from partners. They're our partner on this particular product, and let them know, because you can see it comes from that autogen at partnerscredit.com in our system, but I can put that logo and I can make it look like it's from your company. So I can change these colors and so forth. So they recognize it, but we do recommend that the borrower gets a heads up first.
Thank you.
All right, if I scroll down here, now in the consumer portal, anything that the borrower can do in our system, anything they need to e-sign, anything they need to fill out is available for them as a set of tasks. So in this case, I have a couple of different tasks that this borrower needs to do. It's got this nice interactive little button here, and you can click on it to access the VOIE system. Quick note, we do have to provide that borrower opt-out option, because if they don't want to provide their pay stub, if they don't want to provide their login credentials to get into their bank, they don't have to. But if the borrower opts out and you've selected that cascade up front, you go right to the next one on the list. So if it was VOIE, then the work number instant, then manual, it'll go straight to the work number without even bothering you about it. I'm going to click on this to get into the VOIE system. Now this is actually really smooth and fast for the borrower to do. It's going to take a couple of minutes with me describing it. First page is just terms and conditions, as with everything on the internet. Then upload a copy of the pay stub. You may notice it says browse for an image file or a PDF on your mobile device. This system, the consumer portal that I signed into, that is fully available on any internet connected device. So if the borrower is signing in on their laptop or their home computer or any smartphone, they can still access this system. And as with things are today, a lot of people are working from home. Not everybody has access to a pay stub in a PDF format. They can take a photo of it using their mobile device and then upload it from there. So it makes life a little bit easier for borrowers, especially right now. Now I'm going to upload a sample one here that I've got for my test case and submit that to pay stub. Mark, I believe, confirmed that you can upload multiple pay stubs at this time as well. Now, once that is confirmed, it checks the data, pulls that information. It's got one of those like PDF reader optical scanner pieces of software where it's reading that data off of the pay stub. Then I just need to choose my financial institution, which I believe for this test case is FinBank, available, and put in my credentials. I hope I typed that right. I think I maybe mistyped it. Okay, once it confirms the bank account information, it's showing me the account, how many accounts are on that particular financial institution, how much money is available in each of them so I can recognize them. It also gives the borrower this little notice saying, was any portion of your paycheck deposited at another financial institution, which is a really great thing. I know a lot of times borrowers will have their deposit spread across either multiple accounts with the same institution, which they'd be able to see here, or separated by institutions, maybe you know, a checking account with one bank and a savings account with another institution. So at this point, it gives them that prompt, hey, do you have it separated? If so, you want to include that here. In this case, with this test case, I don't, so I'm gonna click no. And then that's it, that's the whole thing. Even with me describing it in detail, it only took a couple of minutes. In borrower time, that's practically nothing. And once it's done, you get the happy little thumbs up success guy and it's complete. Now, again, as I mentioned, if you've ordered a cascade and you've ordered, say, VOIE first, then the work number, then manual, if it completes here, then it completes here, it's done. If the borrower opts out here, then it will go down to the next one on the list and so forth. I do have, and I wanted to show it here, I mentioned you've got, oh, why is that looking funny? So when you order it in partners with that cascade, you can choose which one you want first, second, and third with each order you place. So if one borrower is particularly computer savvy, you think they're going to be VOIE positive, then you can choose VOIE first for that one. Whereas if you've got someone else who's not as computer savvy, maybe you want to start with the work number and then go to VOIE, you can choose it in that order for that particular request. We are available in Encompass, and I did pull up the Encompass order form here. It looks just like it does on the partner's website too. I just wanted to point it out as well. So if I were to select VOIE or Cascade, it would work exactly the same way that I showed on our website, where you put in the information, and then if it's going to VOIE first, it'll send out that email that I showed to the borrower. A quick note about this, if you do order the Cascade and you have all three products set up, again, just like that pop-up window that I was showing on our website, you'll get the same pop-up window if you're an Encompass user, and it will give you those options to do, you know, this one first, this one second, this one third. I do have, now once it's done, and it does take, once the borrower completes it, it takes about 5 minutes or so maximum, I'd say, for the system to read the data off of the pay stub, compare that information that it's pulling from the borrower's financial institution and create the report. And then you get a notification via email. This is the completed report, kind of what it looks like. You've got the verification of income and employment right up at the top here, so you know what you're looking at. This is the data that I entered for the borrower. So that's the name and address and all that I put in for the borrower. First section of the report is just kind of your headline news, right? It's the employer was verified as phonicity, the income, gross and net, all of that was verified based on the information that was retrieved. We got this nice little check mark verified off to the side here. Second section is actually the data that was pulled from the specific pay stub that the borrower uploaded. So in this case, when I ordered this test case, I uploaded a pay stub showing 4/15/21. You can see that right up here at the top. This is the name on the pay stub, the employer name on the pay stub, current pay, all of the stuff that was on it, including the pay period. And then after that, you get the kind of top information for what account that they included to be verified here. So that's that FinBank billable I was showing before, the address associated with it, current balance, and all that. Then there's a quick section just showing we matched a transaction. The pay stub that was uploaded matched a specific employer deposit on the particular account that was verified. So we've got this one here, matched transaction, showing the specific deposit associated with that 4/15/21 pay stub. So I know that that pay stub is associated with deposits that are going into the account that the borrower confirmed. And then the last section is just the deposit stream. So you get all of the really good information about the borrower's actual income. You got the gross income up top. Here's the net income and how it actually comes into their account. Mark mentioned the cadence before. Here's that cadence noted here, and you can see the actual dates of all of those deposits listed here, and that status active, which I believe Mark described as well. Here's the oldest transaction on this particular financial institution as well. And if I were to scroll all the way to the end of all of those deposits, you can see it shows me that very first deposit and everyone thereafter. So I can see if maybe they were receiving a lower amount before and a higher amount more recently. That's information as to maybe a change in their income.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethany.
Do you want me to show the top section here or take it off of my screen?
I think you could probably take it off for now, unless there's questions about that. Okay. So kind of to sum up, and Bethany did a great job of a really quick presentation. We appreciate everybody. Can you hear me okay, Bethany?
You're coming through now.
Okay, sorry about that.
You cut out for just a minute.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know where my video went. Oh,
There
hi.
we go. Hey, it's Tracy.
But I said thank you to Bethany for doing that, and thank you everyone for joining. And just to kind of sum up, in a year where now we're having to kind of look at our numbers again, always looking at how efficient we are and what our processes are. This is a really good place to take a look. As Bethany showed, it could be quick. We're trying to make it as efficient as possible for you to have options. We're really trying to put out products that can help you be more price conscious, as that's a question we always get. Credit report pricing is always going to go up, but we're trying to find different ways to bring down the pricing for all of your different verification products always. So this is a really great product that can bring some good value to you and also improve your workflow, which we're always looking for. So we gave you a lot of information today. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to reach out. And I don't know if there's any questions from you, Tony, or from anybody else. We were trying to keep this tight.
Tight. That was the word of the day. It's going to be tight. I do not see any questions in the chat or the Q&A, but I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes. So if you do have a question, please feel free to drop them here. I know that you mentioned it, but want to kind of hammer home. So day one certainty, this is an approved product for day one certainty. So just for our, additional edification, what does that mean? What does that mean if I use this product? What does that give me if it's day one certified?
Yeah, and it's also for, and I'll give this to Mark because he's the one that's dealt with the GSE so much on this, but it's also, it's day one certainty, but also eligible for the Freddie Mac program as well. So Mark, I'll let you kind of speak to what that does for the borrower and for the lender.
I mean, the big thing is it's those two, Fannie and Freddie, are both trying to encourage digital solutions to make things better, the lending process better for the borrower, and improve the verification process. So, and that improvement is kind of twofold. One is it's just a faster, easier process. And then the other part is that you can trust the verification. So, because we're going direct to the source, in this particular case, we're going direct into the financial accounts, and we're getting the information that's being deposited. So we can verify that that's the amount that they're making. So they can trust that, as opposed to the old days of here's my pay stubs and here's that could be forged and paper, and you don't know for sure. So it's completely verifiable direct from the source, and quicker. So what they do in return is give you freedom from reps and rewards for that particular verification. So they're not going to come back to you later and say, once they've approved it and it's gone through their underwriting process, they're not going to come back and say, hey, you know what, we kind of noticed later that maybe this employment information wasn't quite right. No, they are free and clear on that one.
And
So,
it's worth noting too, we're talking about VOIE and that this is day one eligible and for Freddie Mac as well. But it's also worth noting as well that with that cascade feature, our connection and integration with the work number, the VOEs that come through that are also eligible. So that's part of the process. The only one that is not, and that would be even if you went direct to the work number for their manuals, for any data that's not in their system, and for us, those are not day one, sadly. They used to be, but not anymore. So anything with VOIE and then anything through the work number through our system has that day one certainty eligibility.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, 70% success rate and half the cost, it seems like that would be a good choice.
yeah, right.
Yeah, and really just trying to nail it home. I know I've talked to a lot of people and even lenders with the mortgage collaborative that always said there would never be like an e-closing, that they wouldn't be able to do that. And I know a lot of people had hybrid models at the end of last year because they needed to. And you find a way to have a conversation with your borrower that makes sense. And all of the things that have been digitalized and all the information that you're getting online, this is just a continuation of it. It just looks slightly different. So it's a conversation that needs to be had, and you can educate your borrower. We'll help you get there. We'll give you the resources that you need in order to feel, better about those conversations. But until we start making changes, ourselves in the way that we're speaking to the borrowers and continue to grow that way, there are solutions out there for you to help improve your process and to make it more cost effective. So.
And yes, we will definitely send a link to this recorded webinar. You will receive anyone who has registered will receive an email tomorrow. It'll have a link to the video, and the video will also be posted on our on the TMC YouTube channel as well. So please feel free to check it out. Once again, you're on TMC Connect. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bethany. Thank you, Tracy, for bringing your expertise to the network. We truly appreciate partners and the partnership, and just really, really thank you guys for spending your time and sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.
So appreciate it. Thank you all. Look to the email tomorrow. Questions will be sure, and also add the emails for everyone so that you can contact them directly. I'm Tony Bramley, Business Development Coordinator, and thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.